we're back. Our first guest now is Matthew Crum with the Calm Center. It sounds soothing.
It is, always
Matthew,
peaceful.
Welcome. It's good to have you here.
Thank
What
you.
is the Calm Center?
About 2007 in the Tulsa community, several providers got together and looked at what the resources were for clients in Oklahoma and then also in Northeast Oklahoma specifically. And there was several different inpatient psychiatric facilities, which is the highest level of care. And then you had several outpatient providers, which is kind of community-based care. Mm-hmm. But there was nothing in the middle. There was nothing for those kids and families that were struggling in the community but didn't really qualify or meet the need for psychiatric care, or were very hesitant to expose their children to that sort of environment. So out of that meeting, a couple of different things came out. One of them was the Calm Center, the idea of providing residential care, and the other one was the COPES team, which is a crisis mobile outreach team. So Family and Children's Services took on the COPES team, and Counseling and Recovery Services, our parent company, took on the Calm Center. So what we try to do is we try to provide a residential environment for kids who are struggling with behavior or for suicidality or some sort of functional issue. And we try to provide the families with a place for them to be that they know is safe and secure. But our primary goal is to help them stabilize, give them some hope, and then return them to the community as quickly as we can.
You know, there was a time in this country, as you well know, when the attitude was, well, I had problems, but I turned out just fine.
Right.
That attitude solves nothing. And as you well know, we now know that the children of this wonderful country of ours are exposed to so many things, so many more things than the older generations.
Right.
And it's amazing that the sanity level throughout the United States isn't worse than it is.
Yeah.
And you have to see that firsthand.
Yeah, we work with kids 10 to 17 years old, and that's a huge area for kids attempting suicide. And so we see how complicated life is. You know, back when I was younger and at that age, you know, the rough kids were smoking marijuana, you know, and now we have kids that have, you know, done heroin and meth, and they don't have to just deal with people getting into fights in school. They have to worry about metal detectors and people bringing guns to school. And you know, families are strained, and they're, you know, sometimes both parents are working, not as available. Kids are helping their siblings, being, you know, kind of pseudo-parents themselves. There's a lot of stress, there's a lot of frustration, and we're there to provide sort of a pause, to give them a break from all that strain. And then we have a therapeutic model that's more invitational. So we're not aggressively pushing our kids to talk about their stuff. But over the course of, you know, our average stay is about 7 days. Over the course of the 7 days, we find them feeling much more relaxed, much more open. And in the latter half of the week, they're really picking up some coping skills, they're picking up some ideas, and their perspective's a lot different.
You know, I read the other day that our numbers throughout the public schools for children that come to school hungry and get their only meal of the day
Right.
in public school, those numbers are growing. We also know that some of the wonderful programs that exist in our part of the country, where the backpack program, for example, where
Right.
they are presented a backpack full of small items, but food nonetheless, that will help them get through the weekend.
Right.
That takes money, and it takes, you know, it takes a volunteer effort, a large one, to accommodate, and still there are children who fall through the cracks.
Yes.
Yes. Do you go home at night sometimes giving thought to children that you know good and well need help and you haven't been able to get them?
We do. We serve between 500 and 600 kids a year, and thankfully we've got some really good support in the community. The schools do a lot of referrals to us. We have other counseling professionals that refer to us, and we have, you know, the inpatient hospitals refer to us, and we probably get 100, 110, maybe 125 calls, and we have about 50 admits a month. So there are a lot of kids that we may not be the place for them, but that we're trying to connect them with services. So we're a private nonprofit, and so we are grateful for some donations from philanthropists in the area, and we also sort of have a contract with the State Department of Mental Health, and we bill for Sooner Care, and we try to provide the care regardless of their ability to pay. So the Calm Center is designed to work with anybody, and some people get inhibited by that inability to pay or not have insurance. So thankfully we're able to do that. But we have some partnerships, like we partnered with the Tulsa Food Bank. And so when kids come in, we try to, oftentimes if we have it available, we kind of let them go with some backpacks ourselves. And we're always there, even if somebody doesn't get admitted, we're trying to give them, here's some bottle of water, here's some snacks, here's some things for you, because there's a lot of community need out there.
Do you build up, I know you're going to point out that you have to build a trust factor with the child.
Right.
But does the child understand that this is all in confidence? Do they understand it's not going to get out?
Yeah, we talk about that in the beginning. We have a therapeutic model that's kind of follows the sanctuary program. It's a trauma-informed model. And in the sanctuary program, what we find is that if you create a sense of refuge, if you create that sense of safety, and not without organization, we have a structure, we have a schedule, we have consistent staff. And what we find is that when they come in, if they have that sense of order and that they have that sense of peace and our staff are there to support them, then they relax from the pressures, and then they're much more able to look at themselves and develop some hope. We see kids coming in depressed and anxious, and they leave a lot less depressed and anxious.
What happens during the school year? Do they still go to class?
Yeah, we're partnered with Tulsa Public Schools, so for 3 hours a day in the afternoon, we have Tulsa Public School teacher there. Because of the way we're set up and because we're a short-term unit, some families say, well, I don't want to disenroll my kid from their home school, I just want them, so we'll work with some families on that, but we do have Tulsa Public Schools there so kids can get credit for that. And for some kids, schooling is an issue. They may be anxious about school, they may be defiant in school. So we like having the Tulsa Public Schools teachers there, because some kids come in and it's a relaxed environment, and then we can kind of learn a little bit from them. The teacher can give them some feedback. And if we have a kid that comes in that can't make it through 2 or 3 days of classroom without getting into some trouble with the teacher, then we know a little bit more about what's going on, and we can investigate that, and we can get back with the parent on it.
I don't have any concept of how one deals with the emotional bubble the youngsters live in, because their
Right.
hormones are bouncing around like jelly beans.
Yeah.
So, I can't remember, I'm way past you on age, and I can't remember anything except Buddy Holly from that time frame,
Right.
I mean, that I'm dating myself. Did you have a good time? Yes, I did. Anyway, I can only tell you that back in the day, we saw behavior in some youngsters, classmates, we didn't understand.
Right.
Made no sense. I was one of those, blessed that I could bring it up at home. Hey, what's that all about?
Yeah.
And while my parents weren't necessarily schooled in the sciences, they understood enough to say, be understanding or avoid.
Right.
And now you deal with everything from cutters to narcotics to guns, and I mean, it's just a plethora of things that you have to work with that these children go into every day.
Well, and I think one of the beauties of the Calm Center is that we provide an environment, and because we have kids that come in at different times, we have some kids that are brand new, like I did an admission this morning, and we partnered that girl. She was going to be in a room with a girl who's leaving tomorrow. So what we have found over the years is that the therapists help out. The therapist will meet with them. There'll be a psychiatrist that'll meet with them. We have staff that have been with us 8, 9 years. We have nurses available. But oftentimes we just create that environment for kids to talk to each other. They don't feel so alone. They don't feel so depressed. They don't feel so anxious because, hey, this person I just met feels the same way or did, 4 days ago, and now
Sure.
she's more hopeful, and maybe I can be more hopeful.
We've got about a minute, and I
Sure.
want to interrupt you to get this one question in. What about follow-up? Are you able to follow the progress of the children that come through?
We really try. That's our last major goal, is to give parents some feedback and then connect them with a partner in the community. So we've partnered with those outpatient providers. We're talking to the psychiatrist and making recommendations. And so far, thankfully, we also have some kids come back and say, hey, they're doing better.
God, it's got to feel good.
It is nice, very nice.
And you know, people like you, my hat's off to you, my friend.
Well, thank you.
And again, the name of it is Calm. And how do they get in touch? Is it listed?
Yeah, it's you can look us up online at 918-394-2256. That's our number, and you can call, and we're there 24/7 to help out.
I believe I'm out of time. I think I've gone through a minute. How are we okay on time? Say it again, please.
Okay.
Oh, we are. I've never done that before. I got one cue that said, you know, anyway. So where do you go from here now? Do you stay on premises?
I do, yes. I go back, and I'm going to go back and just check on the kids and the therapists. We've got some admits coming in tonight, so we're not totally full, but we've got some people that need some help, so we're headed back there.
You ever get critical care?
I'm not sure I follow you.
Someone who's making all the sounds of suicide that has been read by a psychiatrist, said, look, this one's in trouble.
Yes, we do. We work with some kids that tried suicide last night or earlier today. We
Really?
work with, yes, we work with some of those as well.
Hey, thank you for coming in.
Sure, thank you. I
I'd
appreciate
like
you
to
having
do
us
this
out.
again with you sometime.
Sounds good.
We're going to take a short break. We'll be back. We've talked about Calm. We're going to see how it differs from Youth Services of Tulsa right after this.